Hi, my name is Daniel Fang. He's like Daniel Fang. My name is Daniel. I'm going to be your facilitator tonight. Just going to go through some like welcome and introduction stuff. I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to be your facilitator tonight. We're going to start to use facilitators at every meeting. I'm here to basically get out of your way and help facilitate the experience. So I will be neutral throughout this process. But I feel like I have to give my advice. I will say I'm taking off my facilitator hat, but other than that, I'm here to serve you, to serve the room. So I'll just be moving us through all the agenda items that we have and making sure that we do so in a timely manner. We're going to go over a little bit of community agreements, which is basically like what we're going to need from each other to have a good conversation. But outside of that, as your facilitator, please holler at me if you feel like I don't see your hand when it's raised. Please tell me if I have shit in my teeth, or if I have lint on my butt. That would be really nice as well. And we'll do I'll just do a really quick agenda review before Mike talks a little bit. So we're gonna welcome y'all, which is what we're doing right now. And a little bit of introduction. We're gonna do a community agreements brainstorm for about 5 minutes, in which I'll ask you to fill this list with whatever you need to have a healthy meeting. And we'll use this kind of as a covenant or like our guiding agreement moving forward for all other meetings as well. And it's a living document, so we can change it whenever we want to. After that, we have a lot of content. I know you want to go over, going over childcare, talking about a lawyer, crossing guard, flyering, dumpster day in March, grants, Green Mountain Master Plan, the garden space, Valentine's sneaker ball, and the March meeting plan, and then some other announcements in this weird cloud. So that's what we're going to go through tonight, and I look forward to serving you. Now here's Mike with some messages.
I'm Mike, the president as of December for the Harwood Community Association. I'm reading this off a thing. I actually am like terrified of public speaking. It's not always obvious, but this helps me a little bit. So the Harwood Community Association's purpose is to represent the neighborhood's interest to outside groups, to provide point of entry for outside resources and other influences coming into the neighborhood, and to facilitate neighbors' internal negotiations and collective decision-making around both. Harwood neighborhood already belongs to every resident. The HCA currently does not have the infrastructure to contact or represent every resident, so cannot and does not include them in such collaboration at the moment. As such, it is not a neighborhood association, but a self-selected echelon of neighbors motivated to, capable of, and satisfied with participating in the available ways. The current administration, myself and the new board, intend to expand systems, infrastructure, and human resources devoted to ensuring that the Harwood Community Association belongs to and represents Harwood neighborhood as a whole. And that mission is what all of our efforts, including public HCA meetings, will be devoted to. So tonight we're going to provide several opportunities for attendees to plug in and contribute to those efforts. Last month's board and Harwood Community Association meetings, we thought about vision, roles, purposes, etc. We're not done with that yet, and that's going to be ongoing, but this meeting, I'd like to focus on workflows. And so at this meeting, we're going to find ways to enable folks to plug into the committees and workflows and action teams, or whatever we want to call them, and to dissect the work a bit and generate some specific asks for folks to help us get this work done. So thank you very much. And if there's there's a little space here for questions or clarification if necessary.
Sounds great.
Just a couple housekeeping things. So we do have filming going on back there. Is that right?
It is.
Does everybody know where the bathroom is? Yes. Could somebody say it's through there? Before we move any further, do we have any politicians in the room with us tonight? Any undercover police or FBI agents? CIA? Okay. Thank you.
Only in our minds.
What's that?
Only in our minds.
Okay. I really can't help
Can't eliminate.
Sorry. Okay, cool. All right, so we're gonna move into our community agreement. So again, this is just like whatever you need from each other or yourself to have a healthy discussion. I brought my own, which is called lean expression. That means say just enough. Like, so we're all a big group of people. We have an hour and a half. So please be mindful of how much space you're taking up. If you're taking up a lot, or maybe if I just don't like what you're saying, I'm just kidding. I might tell you to land that plane. When I say land that plane, that just means wrap it up. And yeah, just being mindful. If we go into like a larger discussion, I may keep what's called a progressive stack. So like it's the order in which you raise your hands, but white folks are at the back of the line. Does that make sense? All right, so that's what lean expression means. You have to abide by that because that's what I bring with me. But what else would you all need from each other to have a healthy community association meeting or meetings? And you can just call it out. Yes.
Relationship building.
Relationship.
We're all different, we come from different genres, we come from different family, dynamics, to open ourselves up to really grasping who we are.
Okay, so is that about like wanting the meeting to contain like a piece of relationship building in it?
No, I just
Okay.
think we should come with that mindset.
Okay.
I think in order to make us, I think what we're striving for, we all have to empty ourselves of the garbage that we keep with us and open ourselves up to what's being talked about here.
Great, thank you. And if it is helpful, if you want to say your name first before you talk, I know I'm trying to learn people's names, and if not, that's totally cool.
I'm in disguise.
Okay, cool. I like that.
My
too.
name is Yvonne.
Thanks, Yvonne. Other folks. What else do you need or want? And also know that you might request it and you might not get it all the time.
So I like to think of criticism as an act of love. I think it's so like assuming best intent, and that criticism is coming from a place of constructive criticism.
So is it okay if I put love in criticism? Is that
Sure.
Is that vibe? Go ahead and shoot that. You're also free to block. Loving criticism. Now, we all have different definitions as to what love looks like, and we'll just go with that. Other folks, what do you want or need from each other to have a healthy community association meeting? Yeah.
My name's Isaac. Respect.
Ooh, I love this one. So when you say respect, help me understand what that means to you. What does that look like, Isaac?
It's the golden rule. Extend to other people the deference, the time, the attention that you would like them to extend to you.
Okay. So if I were to write respect and reciprocity, does that
Go
gather
ahead.
what you're saying? And also just keeping in mind, sometimes respect means waiting till that person finished. Sometimes you respect them so much that you want to interrupt them. Thank you. What else? Anything else? And we don't have to make a huge list. We can, if we get 5, that'd be cool, so maybe one more.
Patience.
Okay, say one.
I think that there's a tendency to try to rush things, and sitting in what needs to happen as it needs to happen is really important.
All right. I like 5. Oh, yeah.
I just want to say, I am taking notes, so I will reiterate the name request, also because I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't always see who's talking, and some people are wearing masks, which makes it even more challenging, so.
Hannah.
Hannah, thank you, Hannah.
Did you have something you wanted to say?
Ainsley, I think, like I said a couple weeks ago, we should try to figure out how to make these meetings fun. I know it's like a meeting and it's about building committee and all this stuff, but somehow, like, if it's more fun, I feel like more people will want to be here or want to come, and like, I don't know, make it more fun. Like, I'm not saying, keep the house full, like Robert mentioned.
I resonate with that, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So that'll do for community agreements. While I don't have fun, I am gonna force you to do like 1 minute of breathing or mindfulness. If you wanna take this time to pray, really mindfully like sink into the taste of the pizza, whatever that might be. I'm just gonna play like a meditative sound and we'll take about a minute just to do some breathing. If you wanna focus on your breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth, nice big belly breaths. And if you want to use this time to go cartwheel around in the corner, that's totally fine too, as long as you're not disrupting others. Before we move on to our agenda items, I want you to imagine that so we're gonna do one deep inhale together and then an exhale. I want you to imagine like you just took like that first big sip of like McDonald's Sprite and it hits you really like beautifully in your taste buds and you go, ah. So we're gonna take a deep breath in through the nose and then when we let it out, it's gonna be like, ah. Is that cool? You can also make fun of me for doing woo-woo stuff after the meeting. I'll leave a spot. So everybody deep inhale in. And let it out. Okay. Thank you. So our first agenda item is talking about possible childcare to be able to take care of people's children while people are at the meeting.
Yeah, I can speak more to that. We don't have any kids here tonight, but I think as we build capacity and have higher attendance rates, it's really important that we make this as accessible to parents as possible. So I was going to do the child care tonight if there were any children, but it would be nice if we could source that from outside of the neighborhood so people from within the neighborhood can be at the meetings themselves. Otherwise, it can be somewhat of a rotating role if it needs to be, but within your networks, if you know of anyone that would be interested and willing to help engage in that way, I am a point person for that, so come talk to me.
And you can also, I'll pass this around. I want to help. Childcare, point person, Hannah. And so you can, record this or put down your name and info when it comes to you.
What are the other things on it? Oh, I see, it's just to get their information.
Got it.
Thank you.
On childcare, I've heard from other folks in other neighborhoods, there might be interest in like a childcare exchange between community associations. So maybe folks from Green Mountain West would want to like come take care of kids during our meeting and one of us can go down there and do it during theirs. So yeah, heard that floated.
So your name?
Carrie, sorry. Carrie.
Carrie, do you have a specific person that you're?
I have someone in mind, yes. I can put y'all in touch. Yeah. Yeah.
Any other thoughts around childcare other than signing up if you want to?
Yvonne, you had talked about the 20th Street Community Center here potentially being able to Were they potentially open to that? Or?
That would come with a cost
Oh, okay.
for us, because by our bylaws, they are only responsible for the children who sign up for the programs and use them. You know, they're willing to give the space when you need it, because there's a room next to this room. Over the years, we use this room on a regular. There is a space farther down next to the children. But, I mean, we can talk to mine, but I do believe, I have these conversations with them, and they come.
So this might be a good segue briefly to, it's my belief in terms of the value of increasing accessibility and making sure everybody's allowed to participate, removing barriers of participation, that if it helps us make childcare possible, although volunteers would be extremely good and getting some of this tackled as soon as possible is good, I would like to find funding sources so that we could have so that we would be able to provide a stipend for childcare, either on an individual level or for organizations like 29th Street to be able to provide that.
They're licensed to do it, so their contracts go, they end at 5. So after that contract.
The license to do it is a nice segue to our next item that
Yep.
people are ready.
So, moving on, we're gonna talk about a lawyer.
This is just sort of it seems like a good idea for our organization to have somebody we can reach out to for legal questions. Things about, liability, making sure like if we give people rides to an event, that we have coverage or are protected. There are, safety issues, obviously connected with childcare and various other needs. So if anybody in the room has legal expertise, we'd love your help. Or if you have like a friend or know somebody that could be in touch with us.
I was just going to say, one of the things that I can offer, not me, I'm not an attorney, is the Community Law Center. They're
Right.
extremely helpful. They've helped, and that's what they're there for. They've helped our organization. I'm Lauren, by the way, sorry, my note taker. I'm with former president of Green Mountain West Community Association and also now an employee of Jubilee Baltimore. So, hi, Ron. So, just wanted to offer that. How's that?
I think your idea is even better than what I was
Oh, no.
It is absolutely is.
Just
So there-
speaking from experience.
There used to be a resident, may still be a resident of the area, Kieran Dowdy. Kieran was the president and he lived in Harwood, but I don't know if he's here
I
anymore.
think he's moved,
Okay.
but he works.
But I think your idea is great.
Yeah, he's a legal representative of the police department. He does a legal, civil, legal, contract. But he, comes from,
Got it.
I ahead and check.
All right. Takes care of the lawyer discussion. Moving on to the crossing guard.
So Isaac, would you like to speak to that? And also, while Isaac's speaking to that, would somebody be comfortable taking notes?
Because Isaac can't take notes while they're speaking.
Yeah, so in fact, just.
So for those who were not here, step over here. For those who were not here, last meeting, I raised this. We are short on a crossing guard at Barclay and 28th. And as anybody who lives in this neighborhood knows, 28th and 29th Street are extremely dangerous. People drive extremely fast. My son goes to this school, and when I walk into school, I see unaccompanied third graders, and, like really young kids oftentimes walking by themselves. The crossing guard's been out since November. We raised the issue last time. I suggested people contact the Department of Transportation's Safety Division, who handles the crossing guards. We did also reach out to them. We were connected initially to a past liaison, and then more recently, another liaison. They are working on getting more crossing guards. They said there's a shortage of workers. They said it will take time to train them. I think that as I said last time, if a child was injured, they would have somebody there the next day. And I think that they should personally, I think they should treat it as though that was a real risk immediately, but they have not put a crossing guard there, despite this request. We will continue to engage with them, to encourage them to. Hopefully the woman who was there, who was lovely, her shoulder will heal. She broke her arm and her shoulder, and she'll be back soon. But in the meantime, we are not equipped to deputize people to act as crossing guards. We don't have any sort of authority there. But I will say, if you are free and not doing anything, and you want to hang out on the corner of 28th and Barclay between like 9:30 and 8:30 and 9 o'clock, and like 3:25 and 3:45. There will be lots of kids going both directions, and that's I can't make anything any statements beyond that, because again, we're not empowered or authorized or insured or anything to organize a volunteer system. But it's a real thing, and if I wasn't walking my own son to school,
I have worked in the legal profession for a long time, and there's a major liability for any of us stepping into that role in terms of our own communities.
Can you speak a little?
Oh, no, I was just saying, there's a legal ramification for any of us stepping into that role, simply because our own well-being is also involved in that process, and we would have to be bonded and licensed to do that. It feels good to have someone there for the children, but you also have to understand that the legal ramifications, because if you get hurt, you're getting hurt as an individual, not as a representative of a process. You know what I'm saying? So I hear what you're saying. It's terrible that we don't have that, but I don't want people to get out there and think that they can do it and put their own lives in jeopardy and think that there will be some adjunct availability to them in terms of insurance or something like
Sure.
that.
I saw Ainsley.
Actually, I changed my mind. I did redline on it, but I changed now.
Cool. So one thing, so on a structural level for this discussion, I think it'd be really helpful for us to think broadly, rather than so there are steps that Isaac and I have taken in contacting officials whose responsibility is to keep our kids safe and have not done that yet. And we're sort of in then the purgatory of when somebody has a chance, we'll email you back or call you back. I think what I want to avoid, I think a lot of organizations can get into a we've got this covered mode. And although our heart is in this and we're working on it, we don't have it covered. So I think it'd be good for us to be expansive. We've reached out to some liaisons with the city and asked and made this very clear that it's a high priority for us. That's all we've done so far. And so I would invite people to speak to ideas that Rebecca can scribe that are things that we haven't tried yet. And I don't, so Yvonne, I think you bring up important considerations and concerns, and I think that that's very valuable. I also want this to be more brainstorming and not narrowing our options yet. And so in terms of the specifics, I will say, we aren't telling anybody to do a particular course of action, and we're no authority, so we couldn't if we wanted to. But we can think about different options. Yeah.
Ainsley and Brian.
Ainsley. So I think there's Councilwoman Odette Ramos or Ramos, I don't know if it's Ramos or Ramos. It's very she's very she gets back to you fast. I think if we get everybody in here, text the number around and just be like, call at 12, call at 1, call at 2, call at 3. I know that if we do something that simple, it'll be coming from more than just one person, and then she'll be like, oh, this is an issue. And then there's all these people saying something, so if anything goes wrong later on, she'll be like, oh, we gave you 20 calls. So something like that to be like, hey, we think something might go wrong. XYZ, can you make sure this happens? Because that's why they're elected, right?
How about a petition? Make a petition?
Yeah, petition, but officially, she's not our representative, Robert Stokes
Okay.
is our representative.
So let's call.
No, I'm just saying,
But yeah.
he would be the person to call because he's our representative for this district. And I
Yes.
think, I agree with you,
Yeah.
more voice, many hands make light work. I think
Yeah.
you know, if nothing else, we just annoy them to the point.
Yeah.
They feel some urgency to get it done.
Yeah.
So we're keeping a stack, so we got Brian next, and then that, unless you wanted to butt the line.
It's fine, I'll keep it quick because I was going to say the exact same thing. Yeah, I think that is, I hope that we can use that as a way in the future to use these sessions to basically decide how we're going to use these meetings to direct community energy to pestering elected officials. Because I think that really is like a squeaky grease gets the squeaky wheel strategy. It's like, it's great, but it's actually hard to get people to pick up the phone or to even do like a 311 request on the app. But that it does get stuff done. So even if half of us here tonight did it, I'm sure it would be like, in motion and, assigned to someone at City Hall this week. So, thanks.
Yeah, I'm Savannah. Yeah, I was gonna ask, who did you guys reach out to?
The Safety Division at Department of Transport. And then there was a contact made with our liaison at the Safety Division.
Chief had a check by Williams, I believe.
There was also a prior, yeah.
A couple people.
Good. I was wondering if, because Regina Boyce is a lot more effective than Robert Stokes.
Yeah.
And she might be the better person to reach out to.
Does anybody have the number of those people?
I have
We just
Regina.
give out to everybody
I
now,
can't give
or I'll
Regina's
call them.
number out, but I can give you her email
So,
address.
if we could get like those numbers, maybe and like post them publicly, so on your way out,
So what we have our,
put it on your to-do
our
list for
good friend of the
tomorrow.
neighborhood is written down, Odette Ramos, as phone number. We need working on a phone number for Robert Stokes now. Would somebody want to go up to this piece of paper and write, what's this? Want to use this? Yes. Would somebody be able to write, was it Regina Boyce's number? If that somebody has a phone that can find that.
I got you.
Other ideas that you might have to address this.
I was gonna say, you can call and leave a message tonight while it's top of mind. If you want to just do it now, as long as we're bombarding them one way or
Everybody,
the other.
here's Robert Stokes' number. This is our actual representative and is very unresponsive typically. We would love that to change. Here's Odette Ramos. She's not our representative and she is very responsive, even in areas just barely outside her borders.
Well, I don't know about city government, but she wouldn't be able to actually do anything, right? It's not her district.
She could shape it.
Shouldn't.
Yeah.
So none of these are just people, and they just call other people. So she can do pretty much the same thing any of the other people can.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
she's pretty willing and open.
She's actually no less able to do it. She just has other priorities as well. And so he should probably be the one doing that.
Regina Boyce's number, if you can write down. Do you know the number?
So Regina Boyce's number is up there as well.
Did you have an idea?
That's it.
Oh, okay. I don't have the number.
Just to follow up, also, if the community association does an email and has all these emails in that chain,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
that's pressure.
Oh.
And so it's a beautiful thing.
We
Because
do
it's
have the record of communication with the point of contact.
So, this is
with the point of
process.
contact, but forwarding that to
Sure.
officials. It's magic how that works.
Okay.
just take about another minute or so to gather any more ideas you might have. Go ahead.
Also,
So thanks.
Well, does anybody like have any school contacts for people who, like other schools that might have a spare crossing guard?
They're not usually sure. That's what we were told.
Mike, go ahead.
okay, so I hear a lot of ideas also. So contacting representatives has come up a lot. I think that's great, and let's do that. Are there other genre of thing we can do? So one thing that came up was theoretically people going out and checking on, sort of guerrilla crossing guarding, and that is, something that hypothetically would be neat if people did. Are there other ideas that are kind of outside the box that we might consider?
It's just pure brainstorm, but is it worth going to like Baltimore Fishbowl, or Baltimore Brew, or like local news sources? I have no idea, I've never done that, but maybe it's worth trying to get a story out.
I believe yes, it would. I think doing that before a kid gets run over is way better than after.
How about like, mine's Roy, how about like a sawhorse, or like, a sign on it, stick it in the middle of the road, crossing at those times, maybe, I don't know. Somebody run it over, probably.
I love that.
Traffic calming measures in general.
Yeah, I know Hopkins
construction codes?
had that, there's a little sign with a little flag that just stands out. I mean, students steal it, but there's no students, and I don't think it's a big, so I think that can be an easy solution, just buy a little sign with a big red flag and just put it by the crosswalk. Javier, Javier.
I actually had one of those, and I'll put it out tomorrow morning. It's a great idea.
Yeah, I might take it.
I
know, but
I took it too, so. I did not take it from Waverly. Any other ideas?
I mean, it's definitely the labor shortage, so I'm just letting people in your network know that they're hiring. It helps when you're posting to know what the hours typically are, what the pay rate is, and all of that. Josie, sorry.
Also, one other thing to keep in mind, as this keeps circulating around, we have a sign-in sheet that has all kinds of different things on it, and so you're not being handed the same exact thing each time, even though it looks kind of like that's what's happening.
All right. So that was just a raw brainstorm. We didn't connect names to these actions, so really depending on you all to DIY this together. So do that. All right. So we're gonna move on to flyer.
Cool.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, just, I think it would be effective when we leave messages or tell the representatives at the two offices that we call, use dramatic language, like just because like they're like interns and stuff on the other side. So if they're like, people keep calling, worrying about, like children getting run over, like don't just say we need a crossing guard, because that's a very benign thing. Like sure, we all need a crossing guard. Everybody needs a crossing guard, but it's like if you say like you're gonna have a massacre on your hands, they're gonna be like, oh, we probably want to avoid that.
I'll also say that the city spends half its budget on safety, which is often synonymized with police expenses. This is safety, and this is a huge risk to people's health and well-being, and it's an extremely inexpensive fix.
Cool. Sorry. Thanks.
And I think it'd be nice if you could also at the end say, "Can't say you want one." So if anything goes wrong, they're like, "Oh, we should have done it."
So I think the idea was threaten the.
That's not the wrong word.
Inspire here.
Elevated language.
Yeah, we did.
It's amazing.
Yeah, one of the, so Isaac, since your kids go here, do you know if like the PTA is aware of that?
They're aware. They're helpless. They're not, and neither are we, because we're here.
So the next item is flyering. And so it's less life or death, but it's also a how do we get from the people in this room now to a more representative group of people working to neighborhood's sovereignty. To my mind, flyering is only a piece of the picture, but the capacity, we have over 800 homes in Harwood. And so making sure that we get to everybody requires more people to plug in and help out. So our board member, who unfortunately can't be here tonight because of school, but Mara is interested in taking point on this. But so if you have any interest in going out and flyering, this is and Hannah can speak to the experience of doing this if you want to.
Sure, yeah. I think now that we have gone through one iteration of this, we can get a head start on it for next month. We were doing flyering this weekend. Ainsley made our beautiful flyer, and it would be really nice if we can do all of the mailboxes. So a little bit of a challenge, especially in the Harwood East, because they're so stacked. Like it's really dense. Like there's mailboxes upon mailboxes, but as much of that as possible and as early as possible, I think is good. So for next month,
Is flyering done like during work hours or morning, weekends?
whenever you can, if you want
Sounds
to
good.
engage with flyering.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary. Harwood East, all you have to do is get the flyers to me. I'm always flyering the entire Harwood East, all the time. So all you have to do is just get it to me.
Mary Moses?
Yes.
Hello, Miss Mary, you have on a mask.
Yes, Lord.
I'm so sorry. So I was gonna sing your praises, actually. I was gonna say, oh, get Mary Moses. And let me just explain my role, because Mary was an amazing partner with us at Jubilee. We partner with Maryland Volunteer Lawyer Service, I told you this earlier, to get flyers out to legacy homeowners who needed repairs. We look up information on, through planning and through other stats. So it was a very targeted flyering. So one of the things that I was going to ask you all as a community association, we've done this before, was instead of flyering every month, do you all have your meetings planned for the rest of the year?
So we sort of don't.
Okay.
We do and don't. Okay, so historically we've met, and maybe this is, I'll go over this real briefly and then we can move on. But so historically we've been coming here, and I think it's great, and I think 29th Street is a wonderful partner that we should continue to be using as a resource. Also, I would love it if we could find another meeting space in the south stretch of the neighborhood so that it's a shorter walk and it is more accessible for people on the other half. Because we're on the extreme northwest corner right now. And so one of the things that I'll be doing in the immediate future is touching base with the churches along 25th and Greenmount area, and seeing if anybody is interested in hosting us for monthly meetings as well. We can get some variety. So historically, every Monday here, every first Monday here, and in the future, something very similar to that, but not just here.
I was just gonna say, excuse me for talking out of turn, but it's to piggyback, that if you do have that in advance, you put that on one flyer. And so as you're evolving, and I can tell this is a whole new board, Mazel tov, congratulations. Because it's hard work. That, that's just a suggestion for in the future. It's not gonna work this go around, it sounds like. But once you get that all on one, and then it saves paper, it saves time, it's just more efficient. That you do maybe a couple campaigns a year. That's just work for us too. I mean, now, I'm not gonna say that we've gotten people, always. We're constantly working on the same thing. So, I hear you.
To your point as well, since we don't have these dates, we can always just put a link to, I just checked because this is my first time, I just moved like last week. Do we have like a functioning website where we can update the events? And if that's the case, we can just put a simple link on a flyer and then just tell residents to we'll continuously update this website and event information.
So, Fancy, yeah, cool that you asked that. We have a link tree with mostly up-to-date information, and we have a WordPress with mostly out-of-date information.
Got it.
And it would be of extreme interest to me for our WordPress to be functional. So if folks have web experience, we'd love people to plug in. If people have insight for what is a good use of the website and kinds of things people would want to plug in about it. We should president at Harwood, Harwood Baltimore dot, is it .com?
I think it's
.com.
.com.
Still using the email I use,
It's
but.
.com.
It's
.com, great.
.com, yeah.
Is please send feedback or pitch or volunteer to be part of the web team. We'd like to look better, work better, and be more interactive.
All right, I'm seeing some hands about the website, and I'm feeling protective of our agenda. The website is not on there. That being said, we'll go Yvonne, Isaac.
The thing is, I think we have to be very concerned because some of our residents are not that savvy. And I think we've got to, if we do anything, we've got to do multiple sources that will allow everyone to touch base. Because you're talking about something you and I might do, but there might be another resident who either doesn't have the access because they don't have Wi-Fi or anything in their home. So I think our process has to be, in my opinion, has to be multifaceted.
Cool.
To some degree.
Myself on side.
Okay, Isaac.
I was just gonna say, a QR code that links to the website would be great to put throughout the neighborhood, because the website can be updated, QR code can stay consistent, I can take care of that. I'll probably be updating the website if nobody else is able to, but it's been years since I did that, so if somebody else is feeling froggy, feel free to jump.
I was just wanting to find out if there's a budget for flyering, and what if we were to come up with more creative ways to get people here instead of just a flyer? For example, if you have a budget, cut the budget in half, and half of the money could go to flyering, and the other half could be every meeting somebody wins a prize or something. It could be a kind of a community engagement lottery, like a raffle. You can contact local businesses and ask them for gift cards, and somebody wins a free lunch or a free dinner from a local business. You're promoting a local business, and you're also getting the community engaged. Like things that seem like, so I think probably that would be something to try, or just think about or have conversations about.
So we should probably move on to other agenda items extremely soon, but I empathize with the technology not being available to everyone. So hardly, I struggle with Google everything, and WhatsApp is utterly unavailable to me. So broadening the amount of ways people can communicate and having possibly somebody with a role of online, offline liaison, somebody that moves information from one arena to the other might be helpful as well. Something we don't have covered yet, so if people have a strong interest in doing that, that's another way to plug in.
Just a gentle reminder, leading expressions on our community agreements. We got about 40 minutes left, but we do have a good amount of agenda items. Dumpster day, what's going on with that?
Yep. So in mid-March, we have a dumpster day. Kyle, who's on the board, was the previous president, has squared away the best dumpster days of the entire city. We have 4 dumpster days, which are 1 per season and on Saturdays. So I believe it's March 18th is that middle Saturday in March that we have a dumpster day scheduled for?
25th.
March 25th? Great, March 25th. We have a dumpster day scheduled, and it would be great to have someone, I believe having dumpster day mentioned in the flyers they pass out could be part of capturing people, making sure they know about this and can plug in. But there's also people that might need help with moving furniture out of their house. There might be people that, and we can maybe make an event of it, tidy up some trash, maybe like giant objects are in the alleys. If anybody, right now we don't really have somebody dedicated to dumpster day. So if anybody would love to coordinate a dumpster day party and have that outside and have be a volunteer coordinator for that, please speak to that.
I'm down for that.
Awesome. I'm going to hand you the dumpster day sign in.
Oh, I think I'm on there.
Oh, great. The system works.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll circulate this again because, new information, these will constantly be, we have a bunch of items in these and, so if something's not covered yet, we can actually move on if that was the main thing.
Anybody have any other questions about
I have
dumpster?
one, I know in the past we've had dumpsters not have a space to be put because parking signs weren't put out in the morning or whatever when they needed to be. So it's something maybe if you're a dumpster day coordinator.
Good, yes. Please.
Thank you.
Dump question, what exactly is dumpster day?
It's a day in which a dumpster sits for 3 or 4 hours, and you can literally chunk whatever you want in there.
It brings the dump to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just one thing about volunteers, thinking about coordinating and stuff. One thing with dumpster days in other neighborhoods is sometimes your stuff is too big to take to the dumpster. So I think having volunteers to help bring stuff down, or even if somebody has a pickup truck to be able to throw stuff in to take it. I mean, yeah, just getting your stuff to the dumpster site is always a barrier.
My guess, I guess one issue about the dumpsters themselves is that apparently you can't put anything in it. So having some clarification as to what can go in a dumpster would probably help.
Okay, yes.
Well, it can't go.
Okay.
No paint, no tires, no mattresses.
Yeah. that's
Those are the 3 things.
No what?
No paint.
Batteries.
You can't put batteries.
Yeah, no
chemicals. You
batteries.
can take that to Sisson Street though.
Apparently no metal last time I was able to put
You
stuff
can
on.
bring metal, but people like to recycle the metal. I mean,
Yeah, they told me I couldn't put a refrigerator there, so it's okay.
Well,
Oh, no,
it's
the
like
refrigerator's got,
Appliances,
the
yeah.
It's got chemicals in
it's
it.
got chemicals in it, yeah.
But you can take it to Sisson Street.
Sisson Street.
But-
Whoever's on the dumpster committee, can we?
Don't worry, all of this will be
clarify?
coming into play when I plan this out.
And the pass along sheet, actually, if you want to pass it back that direction, there was a lot of people interested in, these are things to put your name on
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I said you've got a bunch.
If you're all, okay.
Yeah, we're
Drum
all-
machine.
yeah,
Just name it. Okay, we can kind of go back.
Yeah,
Just
just
make
keep
sure this
us-
gets captured, but it doesn't all.
We're gonna move on to grants, the next agenda item.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to grants, just as fun as dumpsters, I promise. So there's, we need a lot of money to do big things. Or insofar as we wanna insofar as we wanna spend a bunch of money, we need to get it coming in. I think operations grants would be crucial so that we could actually pay organizers to go out and meet people and help build leadership in the neighborhood. Other grants that are on my radar are Fight Blight. And so one of the things that I would like is for people that either, first I'd like to ask somebody to speak to what Fight Blight is, if you know about it, and then I'll be giving an ask. So does anybody know what Fight Blight is? Okay. So I get emails about Fight Blight, and it's a program to assist for homeowners having trouble paying their bills for repairs or beautification or other things like that. There's more to it than that, but I am, taxed. There's a lot on my plate already. And so if somebody would be interested in thinking about ways to use taxes or use grants to assist legacy homeowners in housing costs, it would be great to have somebody in that role.
Okay, the Central Baltimore Partnership already has a program, their GLOW program, which they're actually functioning in right now, which is all about helping homeowners in terms of what they need, whether their children need things, whether they need things for their home. Older legacy families, those are people who have been in the community for 30, 40 years. And so they have special programs out there to help them with repairs on their home. So that CVP is a great source. Aaron Kaufman, thank you. I know Aaron, I can have him come and talk to us if you want.
It would be more efficient as if Aaron talked to the person that filled out our grants and sent them in and kept up with them. So essentially, 40 people don't really need to be talked at about a grant. What we need is somebody that is working with the grants to plug in with Aaron. And so that sounds like an extremely good
Well, I work
person
with
and
Aaron on the grant for
organization.
East Harwood, yes. So I will work on the grant.
That'd be great. And then you're already on here.
Yeah, I know.
So I'll pass this around for other grant issues.
So with regard to the grants, do we have like a list of things that we, like point things that we need to target with grants? Like a list of things we need grants for? Because like having a vision of what that money is needed for, I think would help people instead of being like, what's a basic, what's all the grants we need, you know?
Strongly agree.
Or is the idea of the grants within the community organization more about raising awareness to the availability of them to homeowners?
So to speak just a little bit, philosophically, I believe that the neighborhood should determine what its needs are, and then we should then build capacity for finding access to those requests and those desires. And so grants are just a part of the puzzle. And so I don't actually want us to be chasing grants and then figuring out how much we do a bunch of volunteer work to make an organization set to already do this, do it a little bit easier with paying fewer people. Like, that's not really my goal here. And so I think you're right, and figuring out what our priorities and what our desires are is more important and an earlier step. The flip side of this is the grants kind of feel like money on the table. It's insofar as somebody's excited and to do this and it's easy, then it might be something to keep up with.
In the past, what we've done is we've had people inform us what they need, and then we have helped them initiate the process. Because the process generally in those situations has to come from the individual and not us. Now, if you're talking about getting grants for our organization to be used in a more global way, that's a whole different dynamic. But if you're talking about helping individuals, we as an organization are not going to be able to do it for other people. We can assist them. We can walk them through the process. But most of the grants are structured so that that individual or that family is the grantee. So, I mean, it just depends on what grants you're looking at. But there's a lot of ways to go about it.
But it also seems like right now we do have several projects that people are wanting on the table that do need targeted grants for right now.
Yeah,
So-
for the organization, that's good. I'm just talking about, he was talking about the
Yeah.
families, but for the organization, yeah, I think we should always be looking for ways of just to fund ourselves.
All right, we're moving on from grants. We have about 30 minutes left, and we're going to use part of that for a brainstorm around the Green Mountain Master Plan. I'm wondering if you wanted to maybe like get this stuff out of the way since it's kind of shorter.
Totally.
We'll leave the last bit for that.
Totally.
So garden space?
Yeah, Isaac, you want to just like briefly give an introduction to what it is and an invitation to dive in?
So, most of you probably know there's a community garden down on the corner of Whitridge and Greenmount. The community garden is not part of the community association. It's its own thing. It's attached to a nonprofit. It can bring in its own funds. There are people who are involved in the garden that aren't here, but Mary Moses and I are probably the two people who are there most often. If people would like to participate, you can certainly talk to us. We have some big things happening, both in terms of planting. Obviously, spring is coming, but also the garden and a local artist were able to secure a grant for an archway to the garden. Mary and I went down and checked it out. It looks great. It's huge. It's robust. And it says that it's a community garden, which is something that I think a lot of people don't realize. When I interact with them while I'm at the garden, they ask if it's my garden. They ask, things like, how does this get paid for? And we just want people to both come and feel they can volunteer, but also people can come and take what is needed. The cool thing is this archway is almost done. The artist is out of town. He will be back to install it the week before Earth Day. And then he will be here for like a 2-week period. So we would love to, and we're tentatively proposing an Earth Day, that's Saturday the 22nd of April? April 22nd, having an Earth Day sort of grand opening, orientation, volunteer kind of thing at the garden. Again, the garden is not part of the community association, but there is plenty of overlap. It's a Venn diagram, and plenty of people will find out about the garden here. I'm here as VP because I came because I wanted to talk about the garden. And it was an accident. I didn't plan on this. Anyway, so it's a great garden, and we've got grants that we're going to be pursuing on the garden side as well. So if you want to participate, I put some seeds down yesterday because who knows, we may never get winter again. In which case we'll have early vegetables. And if it frosts, then thank goodness the ecosystem isn't entirely subject to dramatic climate change. All this is to say, if you like gardening, it's great. It's been incredibly helpful to me, and I would love to have more people out there. We water in the summer, a couple times a week. We talk about what we're going to grow, and if we do it in a more systematic fashion, we can even do staggered planting, so we have a spring planting and a fall planting. I put garlic down in November, and it's starting to come up now, okay? So, gardens.
One additional piece about the garden, for the Earth Day celebration, and Hoffman mentioned that there's a big thing happening here.
They want to do something here, yes.
So we should coordinate
We absolutely
something with that.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So I think it's kind of,
Anything else around garden?
I just had the question of who the artist is.
Dave? I don't think-
Dave Issa.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Dave, okay.
Yeah, he was over, he just moved to San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But, yeah, he was on Whitworth.
He worked for my dad.
He did the previous
So I was
sculpture,
gonna say, he was the first one.
but that one wasn't really intended to be an outdoor sculpture, so it didn't last more than a couple of years. The new one is.
All right, so we're going to move on from garden space. Just as your faithful facilitator, we do have a politician in the room with us now, so whatever that means to you. The Valentine's sneaker ball is next. Who's talking about that?
so Yvonne, do you want to?
Sure. I'm on the board of the 29th Street Community Center, and we are engaging our young people to create events that will not only spirit them, but also teach them how to host an event. And so the Valentine's Day Ball is being held by our free team. And they are doing all the work. We are giving them donations. I actually sent out the list of donations. I contributed all the paper towels, the paper cups and paper plates and cups for the event. And there are other items that they need. But it's a way for the children to be engaged and to learn how to be engaged. So it should be a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to it. It's the first time that we've allowed them, not allowed them, but kind of given them that leeway to host this event.
Any questions about sneaker ball?
What was the date again? 15?
I think so. I can give it to you. I sent it to you.
I think I saw it. I'll go back to it.
And then we just have the March meeting planning, which, does that make sense to do now, or?
Yeah, we could, and then we can have the rest of it for the Green Mountain thing. Okay, so, March, so, to my mind, having a theme for community meetings will be a good way for us to have a focal point on who to invite, what kind of organizations to interface with, and a focal point for outreach, and ask people to plug in. So climate resiliency and sustainability are increasingly on the radar of city planners and scientific organizations right now. And it's not typical for the people most affected by pollution and climate change to be the ones making policy about it, or fixing it, or the main beneficiaries of resources spent on addressing it. A perfect example of this is that the Department of Energy is giving millions of dollars to climate research with participatory decision-making and community engagement that as main parts of what leads their project. And they say they want community input, but nobody's used to community input, to the community being truly in charge of setting priorities, budgets, and enacting their ideas and their solutions. And we need to change that. Having some of the meetings have themes can help us focus. I already said that. So I propose we focus March on community control of environmental policy and solutions. Now this will just be a start for that. I think it's going to be a big undertaking. So part of my envisioning of this is to invite grassroots Baltimore environmental organizations and invite people that have lived here for a long time, renters, people that are closest to the parts of the neighborhood that are hurting the most, and figuring a format out that allows people to be participating in not just being the source of information about what the problem is, but being given leadership over how we fix it and what that looks like. It's a lot of logistics and communication needs, and I desperately need people to brainstorm and plan that meeting with me and help me with logistics and communications. My board is explicitly invited to work on this with me, but they are also tackling a lot, and so please, anybody that wants to plug in, do so. So this says March meeting. Which one?
I want that.
Oh.
So yeah, any questions or thoughts on that? The things going around, and we shouldn't spend too much time on it because we do have the rest of our agenda. It'd be great to end on time.
Just to clarify, Mike, so you want help figuring out like which organizations to invite here, like you mean like Blue Water Baltimore and Tree Baltimore and all of those?
Yes, and then even more so, the action of
doing it.
communicating with them,
Yeah.
scheduling meetings to figure out what that looks like,
Okay.
and planning the format and getting the word out.
So does that go under March meeting?
It does.
Okay.
Should,
Very
should we
mundane
put-
title for what it is.
I'm sorry, not cutting out, should we put the contact we're going to make on that list? In terms, if I'm gonna contact Tree Baltimore, I have a connection with Tree Baltimore.
Yeah, clarity on that would be great. I'd love that. Thank you.
So we got 20 minutes, and we're gonna do another brainstorm around the Green Mountain Master Plan. Again, this is gonna be kind of just like an open brainstorm. I'll write everything down that I hear. I can write everything down. The point is not to really like kind of go back and forth on any one item, but just to kind of get a big, cast a big net and pull in many fish ideas. My metaphors are failing. So I will keep a stack, but that being said, like if I do miss you, or if you just want to call it out, that is fine too. And just do like an intro into like what we're asking you to brainstorm. Mike's gonna tell us. Or no,
Anthony, would you like to?
Somehow I'm the one person. Maybe it's because I live right on 27th in Greenmount, and I guess in the conversations, it kind of felt kind of logical that somebody that live on Greenmount maybe. So I was having a conversation with Kyle about some of the possibilities of the things that.
Can we get a recon of the situation?
Yeah, it's like what is it?
So it's to start a committee And what the committee would do is the committee would try to figure out what kind of values you want to have around a plan for the stretch of Greenmount between 28th and 26th. So they're looking for, they're thinking of like vibrancy, walkability, affordability, equity, safety, and inclusivity. And ways that you could figure out to create those things to have all those things as a part of that process. Like, do we do events? What are the recommendations for land use, support for facade improvements, grants, zoning issues? It's kind of like trying to figure out how do you get all these questions answered, and who do you go to, how do you get this thing? And it's kind of just to reach out to the board, and through the board, to the community, to get answers to those questions.
Go there, you go there and then there. Yes.
Oh, it's vibrancy, that part?
Yeah.
Oh, 1 second.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, for the benefit of a lot of people in this room that weren't here 6 years ago,
Yeah.
my company and the Neighborhood Design Center, and Harwood, I should say, collaborated to kind of begin sort of a master plan, so to speak, a vision for the neighborhood. I'm so glad that Councilwoman Ramos is here, because she may have some input, some things to add to what I'm about to say. So what came out of that meeting was a desire by the folks of Harwood, I should say, to see first floor commercial space and upper level senior housing at the vacant lots on the southeast and northeast corners of 27th Street and Greenmount Avenue. That was 6 years ago.
Wow.
Very slowly, DHCD has been acquiring both lots and properties. So if you looked at the code map, you would see that a lot of the lots are now owned by mayor and city council. The idea was for there to be a request for proposal for a developer to build what is called a low-income housing tax credit project. I don't know if anything's really happened on that subject. Now, things in the city move very, very, very slowly. Whether or not that is even a possibility, who knows? You talk to a gentleman that we know named Peter Duval, who says that the lots on the southeast and northeast corners of 27th and Greenmount are really not the ideal location for a low-income housing tax credit project. So this is a great forum to talk about possibilities.
Can I go ahead? There is already, I don't know if it's still in operation, there was a master plan by Baltimore City. We used to meet every month about the Greenmount Avenue project, going from Greenmount Avenue, from York Avenue, all the way up. I'm not sure, we haven't had any notices of the meetings lately, but that was a master plan on how to reimagine and restructure Greenmount Avenue from North Avenue all the way down, all the way up to 28th Street. So I don't know, again, if that project is still in there. I know the young lady who led the project left Baltimore. And we haven't had meetings in a long time discussing where they are. So I don't know if the city has stopped that momentum. But it was a group through the city with neighborhood individuals that were given feedback into their objectives. So again, I don't have any.
So I just want to check in about our time, so I would like to use this time to gather ideas from the room. History and stuff like that, definitely very important, context important too, and want to hear from people like who haven't been able to speak tonight as well.
Hi everybody, I'm Odette, I'm your councilwoman. I represent Harwood, East Harwood side. I'm happy that all of you are my neighbors. I actually live a block from 2 blocks from 31st Street. So I think a process like this is important, but I think we should look back on what was talked about that time and see where things are and reflect back and say, is it relevant to us now? And the reason to do that is just to honor what was done 6 years ago, but also the fact that actually there have been some progress, but way more is needed, right? And we're excited about some of the new businesses coming in and super excited about the ideas that are being floated around. You know, it's important to continue to have these conversations periodically to see if that document is still, you know, what we are looking for, you know, as things have changed over time. So I saw the document recently, it was like 4 or 6 pages, but the actual plan from the city, I haven't looked at yet. So I'll take a look at it and see.
We did start a master plan.
Yeah.
You know, that was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, so maybe it was started and then just kind of.
Well, I think again, because several people involved in the project have either moved on, they work for the city and they've moved on to other locations or totally out of the region.
Yeah, so we have on the other side of 28th Street, we do have a urban renewal plan. It sounds bad, but it's not. That has, you know, design guidelines and how the, you know, avenue would look. Types of businesses that are allowed, like pawn shops aren't allowed, except for the one that's grandfathered in, and things like that. So that was the whole process there. I just have to figure out what was the process, you know, south of 20th Street. But I think brainstorming tonight will have a good start on that. But I do think we need to dig up the other document to see, you know, what was planned there. And also back to the point about a low-income housing tax credit project. Oak Hill, which is behind Matthews Street or on the other side of Matthews Street. There's a new couple years new owner of those affordable housing properties, and he is applying for affordable housing tax credits to those. Even though he's putting investment in the windows and making sure everything is energy efficient, the units are in bad shape. So he is looking to apply for and work with another developer to do low-income housing and like a massive project to be able to keep people there and bring more people in. So we don't have any plans yet for that. There's no design. There's no progress has been made. Just that's an idea at the moment.
So are you going to collect all of that information and send it to the neighborhood association to distribute, or what's the procedure
Sure.
once somebody finds out what those answers all are?
I can do that.
Awesome.
Yep, no problem.
I had a question just in general, this is to the neighborhood association. Do you all, I mean, this may evolve out of this, but do you all have like a land use committee?
We do not yet.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
And
That's,
we would
yeah,
love one.
that has been very helpful in Greenmount West. It, you know, took a while to build, but that's where our master plan came out of that committee, so.
Can you say more about what that means?
Oh, land use, yes, so planning, zoning, all of what you're talking about basically falls under land use. I mean, and eventually, you know, having somebody, I'm not saying it's gonna be you, Ainsley, a chair of that, you know, for at least a year to really get it going. But what'll happen is it'll probably naturally evolve out of that, and like I said,
Yeah. Can you also explain what zoning is and stuff like that? So, cause sometimes we say certain terms
Yeah.
and.
So I want to jump in because we're getting like really far away from what you all agreed to do. If you want to use the rest of your time to talk about the history of this, you're more than welcome to, because I'm in service to you. And I think there are some people that want to use this space to brainstorm. So I'd appreciate it if we switch to that. Unless we want to just continue talking about zoning and what have you. So
I think
I'll take a
there's
pulse
plenty
in
of
the room.
conversations about zoning, so I'd be happy to answer any questions, but if you want to, you know, continue just thinking about the avenue, that would be fine. And then I'm happy to answer questions about it.
Did you have an idea?
Yes, I think Greenmount just need trees, period. It's just it's like actual science that if you have less trees in the neighborhood is hotter, and it's actually more. I don't want to say terrifying. What's the word? It's worse for the citizens that live there. And I know there's like Tree Baltimore. Maybe they should just be focused on Greenmount.
I was gonna tell you, we, with Tree Baltimore, treat all of them on Barkley Street, all the way down.
Barclay.
Yeah.
So
Fremont Avenue is a
I'd like it
different
if we
story.
remained in the brainstorming.
Yeah,
I
so
think there's a lot of-
we're gonna have time to evaluate these ideas later. We're just gonna get a big brainstorm now. So if you hear something, you're like, oh, that's cool, I wanna add to it.
Trees on green.
Trees.
So here's the, yeah, and
Go
so
ahead.
to kind of reinvigorate this, right? So there's a lot of like, one person, yeah, so, okay, there's a lot of people that already have history with this. And there's some things that have happened. Most of us in the room don't know all of those pieces. And also the people in this room is an extremely small slice of Harwood. So we have between 1,500 and 2,000 people in the neighborhood. We have like 30 people here. The group here leans white people in their 20s through 50s. And I think recognizing that this is a major undertaking and it's going to affect a lot of people, I think for me, the main priority of a committee to think about the master plan and the main priority of the master plan should be how do we include the people most closest to this development and give them the steering wheel. Like this isn't our choice here. This isn't something for our group to decide. I envision this as we build capacity for the neighborhood to decide what happens with that. With the people that are usually left out of the conversation to not be this time.
You have an idea?
To piggyback off of that, someone specifically brought up, regardless of what the plan was 6 years ago, someone at last month's meeting brought up really needing to have more activities for older residents in the neighborhood. And that person that I don't think is here tonight, and so very much to what Mike was saying, we need to be able to be in contact with.
What else? Go ahead, Roy.
I've noticed on North Avenue and on Greenmount from 29th Street up, they have these really nice, like old-fashioned street lights.
Yeah, Victorian lights.
Yeah, so a combination of some more trees and some prettier, lights maybe? Yeah, that could be something.
Thanks, Roy. Did you see another hand over here? Was there somebody else over here?
What about even a dog park or, on some of the, yeah. On some of that green space or flower gardens, it's even, people can, just enjoy, setting up this.
Go ahead, did you have an idea?
Did you get the
Yeah, when it comes to like developing, new housing, especially like affordable housing, if we could talk to community land trusts and see what the potential for them helping us out with that, because a lot of these affordability programs expire and then you lose the affordable housing. So land trusts make it a lot easier to hold on to that affordable housing, especially for seniors. So.
What else? Go ahead. Or wait, no.
After one of the things to keep in mind in this is that there are diverse needs for a neighborhood, and so on the one hand, as housing becomes more expensive, renters and the people in fragile housing are in a worse and less powerful situation. On the other hand, in the inheritance of intergenerational wealth, legacy homeowners benefit from their property rising rather than shrinking in value. And so I think it's really crucial that both of those are major priorities in thinking about how the development happens, and neither are left out.
So what are some ways, because we're talking a lot about like needing to get more feedback from a much wider swath of people than who are here. So are we talking about like planning specific community meetings around the topic of the master plan that like can build on what other people in the neighborhood want? That way it's not just us in this particular room talking about it month to month.
Good idea.
I think that was part of the whole idea is that we come here, we have to get some ideas, get some feedback. Then the committees form to then reach out to the community and say, hey, how about this day? If you have any ideas about what you think Greenmount should look like, let's have a conversation. And this is just the image, just the beginning of the process to then form the committee, and then the committee would do the work to get the community involved.
I think there's a number of different ways that we can go about
So that would kind of just talk straight into my point on, like, I was thinking of, like, at my job, one thing we did is we found a couple of topics that we felt other departments didn't know about, and then we asked these, staff, out of these topics, what do you think we should prioritize? And I think we go on the same idea where we brainstorm certain things like trees, beautification, whatever is dog park, blah, 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 and then we can go, I was thinking surveying, but to your idea of access, maybe just door knocking on and asking, here's a list of different things, what do you think we should prioritize? We can rank them, and then maybe one weekend we grab a sort of a random survey of different residents, and this is what we got, and we work with that.
Thanks, Javier. We got 2 more minutes for maximize time. Go ahead in the back there.
Just an adaptation of the flyers, if there was a suggestion box to lower the barrier for getting ideas in, and a suggestion box that has 4 ways to submit. So if there's an email address and the website and the phone number, that someone can text. When they get a final response, it says, hey, can we follow up with you to continue these conversations? That's no requirement beyond that.
What else?
Just a point of clarification, do we want to be in charge of making that committee? That's like more encompassing of like all those affected by this plan? Or like, do we want to outsource out, or like, what committee is made?
So in my view, one of the major priorities of the committee should be to
Can you
widen.
ask the question again? I didn't hear the question.
I was just wondering, do we want that to be our job to make this committee, or do we want to outsource it?
Can you clarify outsourcing?
Like, maybe, I was thinking about your point and how we want to be more inclusive with like who's actually planning this, and if it's like something that we make, doesn't necessarily seem totally inclusive if it's just Harwood making the decision. Or is it just actually just better if we make the decision and not rely on somebody else to do the work?
Who owns the land that we're talking about?
Much of it city owns.
Oh, okay, so that's
There's other
why we
parties
have-
involved.
Okay, so that.
But I don't think the planning would focus just on that. I
Yeah.
mean, what I'm hearing is, the parks and the trees and the, lights, so it's.
Businesses.
Yeah, there are lots that are now city owned that provide an amazing opportunity, to think broadly. But I was hearing that this is more.
All right, so we're almost at time, and as a guardian of your time, I'll try to get out of here at 8. Any other ideas that are floating around?
Also, only about 66% of people have signed in yet, so go ahead and pass this around, and if you haven't yet signed in, go ahead and do so, please, so we can track how we're doing in terms of number of people here, and can get back in touch with you if you need.
Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and close for the evening. Thank you all for participating. If anybody has any feedback for the process or for me, positive or negative, I'm a masochist, so feel free to tell me that I suck at it. But want to make this like an inclusive process, so if anything like the design of the night, the agenda didn't go well for you, open to hearing that in person, and also we'll figure out how to make a survey for make a survey for next meeting, so that I can collect that evaluation if you don't want to tell me to my face. Did you have anything else you want?
That's it, yeah, I think, ending this with evaluation to how did it go tonight, so that we can iteratively improve, and so we can reflect on the process going forward.
If you didn't sign in, you might not have got your pin in the map either, so get your pin in the map.
Yep, so we have this map. It's actually repurposed from an earlier project. We had 2 beautiful maps produced in a board meeting visioning exercise. And in the interest of figuring out how we're doing geographically, you could take a pin and plop it where you live. Please do so. If you were at last month's meeting, you already put your pin in, don't worry about it.
Just new folks, if they're color coded, we'll be able to see how we're reaching new areas over time. Yeah, it's real cool.
Okay, well, have a good evening, everyone. I hope that you.
So evaluation,
okay, so you want to do that open?
Yeah, please. I think please chime in with evaluation comments. Please do it also independently. Feel free to email me or email Harwood at president@harwoodbaltimore.com with your evaluation comments if you don't feel comfortable speaking it openly. But I would love to hear folks' pros and cons, as you point out, of how the meeting went.
I'm gonna make it fun next time, though.
I'll push you that. I think it went well, amazing. I think it was well organized and we moved through, almost with a military precision. But is he military?
My dad would be proud.
Oh, and it was fun. It was fun, and you know, you got serious when you need to get serious. I think it was. It would be something to adopt. Other people might have different, you know, ways of doing it, but I really like this stuff.
So I'll just say, it's tricky that the door is closed, so I think going forward, it would be good for us to have a greeter at the door that can open up for people. Every couple minutes, so I've been getting some calls after the fact, people are outside, and it's tricky.
A bit of a hot take, but maybe the more important agenda items in the beginning. So like while we all have more passion and steam, we could get all that out, and also we don't have to worry about time when we're talking about the more important things.
Hot takes encouraged.
You all have a lot of humility, heart, and passion. This is a great community association, and you're just going to get better. So, just seriously, you'll just continue to soar. Just have faith.
Thank you guys for your work. Round of applause for the.
For us new people, I know like I signed up for the mailing list, but is that the best way to get updates, or what's the best way?
Right, and so this is actually, how do we communicate with folks, right? So we have some emails that go out about events, but there's a lot of formal stuff that, so going forward, evaluation shouldn't involve too much crosstalk, and it'd be better for me not to respond in certain ways. But we would love for there to be like info, sort of have our information dispersal to be more reflective and thought through so that we can be more efficient about that. So I'll say that if you did have to sign the sign-in sheet, you'll get an email and we'll plug you in, but I'm not sure what plugging in exactly looks like. Maybe you and I can talk about that directly.
Also Facebook, that's just how I found about you all.
Instagram for me. A bit younger.
TikTok.
I have an email newsletter that comes out on Mondays if folks want to get on the newsletter list.
Yeah,
We've got various information about what's happening in the city and also in the district. So I have cards and I'll send them out.
Is there still a WhatsApp group, Mike?
What's that?
Is there still a WhatsApp group, or was there one?
Yeah.
There is, to my knowledge, I've never seen anything of it. I don't actually have a smartphone, so.
There was?
I think
I think it's really good.
Crosswalk time.
Okay, so Savannah had a hand up. Who else?
Be the best time to go by the crosswalk.
Savannah,
The
do you have
crossing
a
guard.
comment?
What about it? I'm sorry.
Crossing.
Oh, yeah, well, I was gonna just, we need a crossing guard, 28th and Barclay.
So you don't have a crossing guard?
She broke her shoulder 3 months ago.
Do you haven't had one? That's a ridiculous intersection.
It is. My son goes there, I walk across that intersection every day.
So, Savannah?
It's just for, like, so you guys mentioned that there's like a link tree.
There's a little bit of
and-
crosstalk. Can
Yeah.
we just hear Savannah speak right now?
You mentioned that there's a link tree and something else where people here are supposed to, like, our information is.
Yeah,
Maybe we can like
source.
post that on one of these so people can like just have it and
Yeah, that'd be.
before there's a website that's up or something.
Thank you. Okay, so we're at time. So folks that want to leave, thank you very much. Also, folks who want to stick around, I have a couple other announcements, but in the interest of respecting people's time, I don't have to, do it if you want to. Give you a few seconds and then I'll start saying. Okay, so announcement items. Feel free to leave while I'm talking. It doesn't matter. Right now the city's in the process of signing a deal about the BGE utility process that has in the press been portrayed as against the will of the ballot measure that just happened, in which So basically, if I'm understanding it right, turning the BGE arrangement with our conduit system from a they pay us dynamic to a barter system where they fix parts of the infrastructure roughly equivalent to how much they owe us. And it's maybe against the spirit of what the bulk, maybe you can speak to this a little bit, but there's,
Yeah, well, we're actually having a hearing about this on Thursday at 5 o'clock. All of our hearings are public. You can watch it on Turn TV or come to City Hall. And I'm sure there'll be tons of media coverage about it. But basically, the conduit that every city has is the fiber, the stuff that's underneath our streets that they just dug up and replaced over on Greenmount Avenue. And any company that wants to use that conduit pays the city, right? So BGE pays the city, Comcast pays the city. If Verizon was here, they would pay the city, all of that. And so the proposal is for BGE to, well, first of all, we don't charge enough for them to use our, like, when we had Hopkins go in to the main road to be able to do some work there, I think we charged them like $70. It was like, what? So, A, we don't charge enough. And B, what they want to do is because some parts of our conduit are old, and BGE wants to be proactive and replace part of it or maintain it on their own, and instead of selling it to them to do that, we're making an agreement that they can certainly do that, put in the capital money, but they would have certain exclusive rights to go where they want to go. Where does that mean, right? So we're going to find out more on Thursday. I think this is a terrible idea because what's going to happen is they're going to be putting a lot of capital dollars in our conduits, and then they're going to go back to the Public Service Commission and say, oh, we need more money, so we need to raise our rates. Okay? I don't know about you, but my BEG is ridiculous, okay? It's fine that we've had a mild winter, but that doesn't really mean anything for our bills, right? So we'll find out more on Thursday, and those are always public meetings.
Cool. Thank you.
I just have one other thing. So in addition to the, some of you who don't know, my background is in housing and community development, so I've been doing a lot of work these days on addressing vacant properties. So we'll continue to do more of that across the city. There was a council meeting tonight. At the next meeting, February 27th, I'm introducing what's called a land bank, so that there's an entity that we create that is part of the city, but it's a quasi-governmental that all they're doing is acquisition, disposition. That's it, that's all. We need all the help we can get for this crisis that has been generations in the making, and it's taken generations to get where we are, but we don't have generations to wait to solve the problem. So, so I'm excited about it. We'll have a funding and some other things. We've got the right tools. I think we just need the will to do it. So happy to talk more. I have my cards if you're interested in getting on a newsletter and all that. So don't mean to hold you, but I'm grateful to be here. I haven't been to one in person yet, so sorry about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Cool. So thank you very much, everybody. Also, if anybody, there's a little bit of tiny bit of food left. And if anybody wants to put a chair and these stacks of chairs, you need.